Well, thank you so much, Supervisor. It's great to know blood is thicker than water. And yes, my brother and I did did enjoy Thanksgiving dinner together. It was very lively, and I did have my food tested just to be sure. It was at his house, so I really appreciate that, Don. You're such a good friend and such a good warrior yourself for small business. And it's great to be here. And good morning, everybody. It's great to see all of you. Hopefully, you all can hear me pretty well as well. Justin Adams is a hard act to follow, but I'll do my best and tag team with him. And also, I want to say a few other thank yous as well. I certainly would be remiss if I did not thank Supervisor Sue Frost and her husband, Jack, for putting this together. Supervisor Hewitt, I know, has been deeply involved. Julie Gallagher, Tab Berg, who are longtime good friends. And I think, frankly, also to the many volunteers and sponsors of today. These things don't happen out of thin air. We know with our own lobby days and events, these just don't happen magically. And so all of you just dedicating your time are just so appreciated. I also am sorry, similar to Justin, that a personal family commitment I've had has rendered it difficult for me to be with you in person today. But thanks to the people at Zoom, I'm able to be here through the airwaves, and I'm very grateful for that. And I know all of you who are there in person are still, if you can hear me okay, are braving the chilly January weather. I'm sure Sue's husband is running around giving you Kleenexes and coffee. So I think you can literally say that Jack Frost is nipping at your nose this morning. That's bad. Okay, I'll be here all week. Maybe you want the other son. But you're all bundled up here because, many of you are also with us online because you believe in a better California, a more promising California, and most importantly, an open California, a real California. And folks, the only way we're going to get back on track is to get Main Street back on track. As you heard Don Wagner speak, as you've heard Justin Adams and so many other speakers this weekend, you got to get people coming through the doors safely, responsibly, and efficiently, but soon. And when you see that, our economy and our jobs market is going to hum again. Because as Justin said, it can't be relied upon PPP loans and some one-time monies, which are appreciated, but there's got to be a regular, steady cash flow. Again, my name is John Kabateck. I'm the California Director of NFIB. We are California's and the nation's leading and largest association serving small business owners. We've got about 15,000 members in California, about 300,000 members nationwide, all small business owners. The cool part is we're a California-born organization. A guy back in 1943 was a member of the U.S. Chamber. And while we have great relationships with all chambers, even back then, he said, we need an organization that specifically speaks to small business, speaks to the mom and pops. And boy, it's never rung true more than it can and has today. Our mission is quite simple. It is to protect the right of our members, our small business members, to own, operate, and grow their business. And again, so much of those three things, own, operate, and grow, are imperiled today, which is why I'm so glad you're all gathered this weekend to discuss how do we get the Main Street wheels rolling again. Because without it, not only, I've said this, Justin and I were talking last night, but Don Wagner just mentioned it, hinted up on it, so many others. Not only when small business is thwarted and stifled, not only are millions of small business owners stopped in their tracks without hope, not only are even more millions of people, employees, unable to feed their families, but this is the important thing to remember, folks. It is important for our elected leaders to realize that our public services simply won't function. Who do you think subsidizes the broken streets and the potholes out there? Who do you think pays for our schools, our health facilities, our veterans facilities, our first responders who are outstanding out there trying to help us and should be saluted every day? It's small business. You just can't survive on getting funded from the tax dollars from a Target or a Costco alone. It is all the small businesses which make up 99.2% of our business community and create 2/3 of all net new jobs. So in addition to being the leading lobbying organization for small business owners, NFIB issues regular reports and surveys about the Main Street economy. And really what's exciting, one thing I want to also mention is Justin Adams is not only an awesome economist giving you some great data, but Justin has also been a member of our leadership council with NFIB in the past. He's a small business owner himself, just like I am with my own firm. But his economic data is great. And then we have some stuff that I'm going to share with all of you And our data with NFIB is also used also by presidents, Congress members, state legislators, economists, and the media. We put out some great reports and as well. And so what Justin's given you, what we've provided is really speaking loud and clear the same message. We got to get things rolling for Main Street folk. We got to get it going. I'm going to give you a quick snapshot of small businesses in California, how many and the impact they make. Many of you might have already heard this, but there are about 4.1 million small businesses that employ more than 14 million Californians. And even more out there helping to support our school, our local sports teams, and of course, as you heard both of us say, our local economies and our state economies and our public services. NFIB members are emblematic of the average small business owner in California. The average small business owner in California employs about 10 up to 10 people, and the average gross revenue is about $500,000. Again, that's not every single small business, but that's what we found with our members, and to be pretty emblematic of California national trend. The majority of small business owners, they cover the whole realm of small business sectors, if you can imagine, which is again why a one-size-fits-all closure doesn't work and shouldn't work, and I'll talk about that later. But probably our main industries in California are retail and restaurants, construction, the service industry, and then manufacturing. I think those are all ones. Actually, it's interesting. Justin did a survey of NFIB members across the state of NFIB members as it relates to the farming community and agriculture community. And Justin, if I'm not mistaken, I think you found that 1 out of every 11 farmers in California is a member of NFIB. So we also have a lot of farmers and ag folk because they do drive our economy. So much comes from them. What's the status of small business today? Well, you heard some very compelling and in some ways grim and in some ways promising messages from Justin Adams. But a few main points that we found from our surveys that some are rather compelling. And of course, keep in mind that I want to point out even before COVID touched down, California, as you know, many of you know, was home to the highest statewide sales and income taxes, the highest gas taxes, and the most egregious regular number of frivolous shakedown lawsuits in California. 40% of the ADA shakedown lawsuits in California hail from California, in the nation hail from California. So we're the leader on a lot of these fronts. I've always said to people, boy, we're nothing in California if not pioneers, right? Unfortunately, on some very negative things. So we got to turn that corner. That was before all of this happened. And then, as people call it, the Rona touched down and came to town. And here's what we know. NFIB's chief economist is a guy named Bill Dunkelberg. And Bill said, we call him Dunk, but Dunk basically said that while some industries and sectors are doing well, again, you heard Justin talk, and surely there are some that are holding steady, many others in California and the nation are not doing well. And also, you know, what we also keep hearing from our members is finding qualified workers, a huge struggle. In California, unemployment is, as you heard, 8.2%, again, down from the 16% when things really started to roll forward, but it's still terrible and it's still significantly higher. And it ranks us at, I think, the 45th in the nation as worst for unemployment in California. Or as progressives might say, best for unemployment. So, but 8.2 is not good, and we got to fix that. Since March, NFIB, we've been surveying our members since coronavirus started. We've been surveying our 300,000 members, and they've told us the following, both here in California and nationwide. If economic conditions don't improve in the next month or two, 1 in 4 small business owners is going to be forced to close their doors. Another 20% are actually going to be forced to do so within the 12-month period. My next door neighbor, Jot Condi, who's the president of the California Restaurant Association, who also I know felt bad he had a logistical issue, could not be here. But Jot just told me a couple of days ago when we were talking, 6 feet apart, I promise. But Jot did tell me that their initial projection when things kind of rolled forward with coronavirus was that 1/3 of California restaurants are closing their doors and having to do so. He told me just a couple of days ago, he said, John, the numbers are coming in, and it shows that 1/3 number it's being surpassed almost daily in a big way. So, you know, 1 out of every 3 restaurants, 30% closing their doors, or if not more, that's going faster than projected. PPP loans have helped. as we found from our members, but it's just not enough to get mom and pops opened up. And the closures just before Christmas really hurt, because I think what we heard from a lot of our retail restaurant stores and retailers and other folks was, this was my opportunity to make it up. This was my opportunity to really get some more surplus during that rush, that responsible rush, but a way for people to get more money to come to the door. And that was very tough. 70, the numbers that we found in terms of PPP loans is pretty significant. I mean, a little bit different that we found from ours, from the census data that Justin, I know, gathered, and that was the census data, not just. But what we're finding with small business owners versus government is telling us is this: 72% of our members have already received PPP loans, 90% have already spent it, 52% have told us that they need more, and 44% have told us they absolutely would apply again with this next round. Interestingly enough, another number we found is that, and I'll be sure to share this out with all of you because there's some good data here in writing. But interestingly, 82% of our members have said that they haven't yet applied for state or local grants or monies. So they've really been working hard to try. Most of them have gotten PPP loans, spent it, they want more of it, and they're ready to apply. We also have what's called a Small Business Optimism Index that we put out every month. And we have one for the month of November. The one for December will be coming out actually in about 2 or 3 days. So check out our NFIB.com website or contact me. I can make sure we get that to you. But we put out a Small Business Optimism Index to see, like, how y'all feeling out? What are our small business owners feeling? What is your mood? What is your optimism? Is it up? Is it down? Well, kind of a mixed bag. As you also heard Dr. Adams say, on the positive, small business owners in NFIB and nationally are telling us that they're optimistic, albeit marginally, about a few things: inventory, job openings, credit conditions, the ability to have credit cards and credit and get credit going, and even in some small ways, plans to increase their employment at some point. So again, they're positive about inventory, job openings, credit conditions, and even plans to increase employment at some point. But only all of them up just to maybe like a point from the previous month. But unfortunately, the sad news is, here's the sad news, many more negatives, how they feel. With the largest negative being expectations for the economy to improve, down 19 points from the prior month, 19 points, almost 20% down in terms of a small business owner's expectations that the economy will improve. Plans to increase inventories are down 7 points. Low moods about the plans to expand, and low moods about sales and making capital outlays or earning trends. So again, there's some glimmers of hope, but some real sour moods, especially as it relates to seeing the economy going on an upswing, which we need to do. And that happens, the small business is moving again. We also finally put together a monthly jobs report at NFIB. And it's released the first Thursday of every month. And again, I'm happy to provide this all to you through the ReOpen California Now team. Nearly every section that we found in the jobs report, the actual data that we gather from our members, was negative. Job openings, hiring plans were down, compensation were all down. So as economist Dunkelberg had said, as Dunks has mentioned, and I quote, "Finding qualified workers for open positions has only gotten worse as the pandemic has caused an even tighter labor market. We need a surge in the labor force, which would be welcome for small business." How do you do that? You get small business open again. You get them working again. You get people coming through the doors again, responsibly, safely, in a healthy and effective and efficient manner. I'm going to just kind of pivot now to that point, which is the main priorities for members, NFIB members in this COVID era are threefold. Number one, continue to get them the funding to get the hole out of the hole that they're in. PPP, state grants, whatever, but they're not, as you heard, they're not excited or at all interested and have an appetite in accruing more debt. Fortunately, there's another infusion and applications for the $500 million in grant funding for small businesses available. From the PPP side of things, and the governor himself did expand the small business relief grant by an additional $575 million to bringing that to a total of $1 billion. And I do know that locals, the local electeds and others are trying to do their part to find some local dollars to really make sure that small businesses can access those local amounts. But again, what we found in our there's a lot of small business owners either don't know about or have yet been accessing any local grant or funding monies. But small business owners, again, I repeat, have told us repeatedly they don't want to be in more debt. And for many, this is a Band-Aid. This kind of money is much welcome, but it is still a Band-Aid for a very gaping wound. How do you stop that? How do you put a big gauze over that gaping wound? You make sure you resume customers walking through the door with regularity so there's a more predictable cash flow that the small business owner can do to court business to come through the door. That's how you do it. The second big priority for small business owners is liability protection. I'll talk about that in a second as well. But California, as I said, has already been home to the most ADA shakedown lawsuits. And I know a lot of you here in Sacramento have witnessed that over the years. There have been some fixes, but there's been still a lot of continued pervasive problems around the state. Don Wagner can tell you plenty of stories about that, probably from his years on the judiciary, and also has been a champ trying to fix that. Proposition 65 lawsuit, these private attorneys general act lawsuit. This is the next freight train, is the COVID-19 workplace lawsuit. We know law firms, we actually are aware of law firms that have been actively recruiting and lawyering up to sue businesses. Don, I can tell you, my brother actually has not been one of those. He's actually been a bit on our side, trying to sue the state for continuing to impose on restaurants in particular fees and assessments while they force them to shut down. So I think, Don, you had some success in helping my brother see the light over the years. But on the flip side of that, many law firms, if not more law firms, are already lawyering up, and they're recruiting individuals, young lawyers, to sue businesses. It's a big problem. The third one that we hear from our members, and not in any particular order, open up Main Street. We need to stop placing the blame and the major restrictions on small businesses. Our public leaders here in California and nationally have repeatedly made it clear, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, that social gatherings and other areas like that, not the small businesses, have been the main hub and the main source. We can do this, and we can do it responsibly. And that's going to bring me to my last comment. It's kind of like I was asked by Don and Sue Frost and others, and frankly, we hear it from small businesses. What is it that you guys are recommending? What do you think is going to help? Okay, you're all about these problems. Well, there's about 3 or 4 things that we are calling upon our leaders to do and ask you to give some thought to. First of all, the one that I think our government and leaders need to do, which was really never done from our statewide leaders at the outset, was involve and talk to the individuals and experts within our leading industries, our number one, or maybe our top 15 to 20 job creator industries, to tell us what makes them tick. What are their specific protocols, their procedures, their processes, their approaches for creating safe and efficient operations for employees and customers alike? Look, an automotive service business is markedly different than a bakery or a hair salon or a restaurant or a retail store. And I feel that where our leaders did actually fail, and could still, but there's still time to fix this, is, make sure that you're including in your roundtable discussions experts who are the wonks from auto services, salon, healthcare, retail, farming. Get those people to talk about what makes it work. Not necessarily the number ones. Get their 3 or 4 level who actually know what those restrictions, those OSHA issues are. That is going to get people to understand what makes each sector work and how we can actually make it approachable for people to come through the door in a safe and responsible manner. What they ended up doing was, unfortunately, a blanket approach, and I think more celebrities than actual experts in these industries that could have been listened to from the start. But the good news is there's still time. There's still time for the governor and our legislators to take that. And I think Justin and I were talking last night, and I said, the nerds shall inherit the earth. I said, and Justin, by the way, you're not a nerd. You're really cool. But I will say the wonk and the policy wonks in this case shall be able to help us resume the earth from moving forward again, and notably Main Street. So that would be number one. There's still time. Get the experts from these industries in and talk to them and find out what makes them tick. We can do it in laser pointed ways with each sector on how to approach that in a safe and responsible way. Secondly, do no harm. stop laying huge burdens on small businesses during this legislative session. Unfortunately, the legislature and our policymakers didn't learn that. Last year was supposed to have been the year of helping Main Street and helping get people moving. And instead, what did we get? We got more employee leave laws. We got more workers' comp liability. We got more let's play gotcha with small business owners. That was supposed to be the year to help mom and pops get out of the hole they're in. It was ridiculous, and it was frankly insulting. Only 2 bills made it to the governor's desk that were remotely positive, which we did support. But that what I was saying. So, and then secondly, I would say stop and let's press the pause button on AB5. Minimum wage, privacy laws, and more. Let's stop keeping new workers' comp liability, employee leave laws, but let's push the pause button on AB5, minimum wage, privacy laws. Let's help them get out of the hole they're in. And then third and final, I certainly hope I have a little bit of time here. Tell me if I'm running forward. I see somebody at the podium, so I don't want to keep babbling. I had just a couple final thoughts. Am I okay on time?
Just a little. If you
All
can
right, I'll
just
keep it going.
begin to wrap up, and then we'll just only have a short time for Q&A.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if I heard you correctly, I'll wrap it up. Third is we just liability protection. NFIB has been a leader in trying, as I mentioned, we tried to spearhead legislation last year that would provide safe harbors for small business so they're not shaken down by lawyers. We're going to go back at it again, but the third would be liability protection. And then fourth, our local leaders could do, just like Sue and Don Wagner are doing, give consumers more confidence that they can come back. Don't scare them away, give them better tools to know about the businesses. We can do that by letting each industry sector do a better job of how they can run things. And then help them, help encourage through local chambers and other groups, sales and discounts and like small business Saturday type campaigns. We can get people moving back. So I think we can do it. We can do it responsibly. We can do it healthy, safe, effectively. Small businesses are the ones that support our public services. I hope our policymakers understand that. And if they're shut down, our statewide communities and our state services are shut down, not to mention, oh yes, by the way, millions and millions of small businesses and working California. So we can do it again. Thank you, Sue and Jack and everybody else for being involved here and the Equestrian Center for hosting this, and happy to talk. Thanks for letting me back.